And we are recording. Okay, so once again, I'd like to welcome you for attending this workshop on the virtual art portfolios in preparation for the Bierk Art Fund Bursary Awards. So before we dive into introductions, I would like to respectfully acknowledge the land in which the Electric City Culture Council calls its home and does its work which includes this workshop. We, EC3, respectfully acknowledge that Peterborough and Peterborough County are located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory and in the traditional territory of the Mississauga Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations, which include Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Bosol, and Georgina Island First Nations. The Electric City Culture Council respectfully acknowledges that the Williams Treaties First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they will continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and safety and their integrity for generations to come. We pledge to support them in this work and to continue on a path of truth and reconciliation. My name is Dorothea Hines. You can see it on my little window here if you scroll over. I am an assistant program coordinator at EC3, and my role here today is administrative, and it's also a technical support. So I'm here to help watch the chat. So if you have a question and you don't want to speak at the mic, you can use the chat. I'll be watching that. The majority of the content is going to come from the lovely Spencer and Fynn. They are here today, and I'm excited that they're here today because they're also going to be on the jury panel. So you have this opportunity to talk to them. They can outline specifically what they're expecting, what they anticipate, and then you can have any questions and ask them, and then they'll answer from a jury perspective. So I would like to take a poll,
Dorothea,
another poll. Are you two familiar with Zoom? Oh, sorry, Sue, go ahead.
I was just going to say, maybe you could.
You're familiar with Zoom? Yeah.
No. Can you tell them who Spencer and Fynn are?
Of course, yeah. I was actually going to open it up to introductions soon. I just wanted to make sure that you knew the format of Zoom. So if you scroll down on your little bar, you have the wave function, you have the chat function. You can also mute and unmute, and then also cancel your webcam if you need to step away for a moment. So please feel free to do any of that. So I mentioned my name is Dorothea. I would like to introduce now Spencer Harrison, who is currently teaching at OCAD, and his studio practice is situated in Toronto. And Fynn is the curator at the Art Gallery of Peterborough. So more importantly, perhaps, I mentioned that they are on the jury and they're here to answer all of your questions in an informal conversation style. And I'd like, if it's all right, I'd like to go around and have both of you talk. So state your name, maybe your school, and also perhaps what school you'd like to attend in the future in the visual arts field. Cassidy, would you like to go first? Or Fernanda? Yeah, please.
Okay. Hi, I'm Fernanda. I'm actually from Brazil, but I've been studying Lakefield College School for 3 years now. And I just got accepted to go to SCAD in Savannah, Georgia, to major in animation. Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's huge.
Savannah's a big deal school.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Cassidy. I am at Crestwood Secondary School right now, and I got accepted into Nipissing University for their fine arts program.
So good.
And also Trent as their Bachelor of Arts, so I'm not sure which one I'm doing yet, but yeah.
And you were accepted at Trent in what?
In their honors arts program.
Okay, does that include visual arts studies?
I believe so. From what I've seen.
Yeah, there are some, Kelly Egan teaches some hands-on studio work. Yeah. Trent is typically not known for its studio work, but they do include it. And then they also do a lot of art theory and cultural theory. I almost went to Nipissing myself from Crestwood. Almost. It's a beautiful campus. I love it up there.
Yeah, from what I've seen, it's very nice.
Yeah, and I know, just to launch us into the discussion, I know Nipissing does not require, or correct me if I'm wrong, but Nipissing doesn't require a portfolio upon submission. Is that correct?
No, it doesn't. I applied to OCAD with a portfolio, and I didn't get in there, but I didn't have to provide a portfolio for Nipissing.
So why don't we start with that process of making a portfolio and how we can make one specifically geared towards the virtual presentation of the portfolio reviews for Bierk Art. So I hand the floor over now.
You gonna start, Fynn? Am I gonna start? What do you want to do?
I just love it when you start and I support you.
Okay. I sit on this jury committee because one of the things that I have done in the past is assess portfolios for OCAD University. I didn't this year. I used to do the national travel as well. And so in total, I would assess about 6,000 portfolios in a year. The portfolio process is incredibly intimidating because you're putting together work, you're putting it in front of people who you don't know, who are going to look at it in different ways. Fynn and I work together when we do this and work, I think, really comfortably because we ask different kinds of questions. I think the portfolio interview, the portfolio assessment is about looking at the work, but it's also about you getting a chance to sort of talk about who you are and what matters to you. I can teach anybody to draw photographically, realistically, and I, quite frankly, don't care about that process. What I care about is who are you? What do you want to do in the world? What do you think your art can do in the world? How does your art communicate who you are? And what sort of conversations can we get into in looking at your work? And so for these portfolio assessments, I typically, here's your tip. I typically say, if I could only look at one piece in your portfolio, which one would it be? Which one tells me the most about you? I also say, which work in the portfolio that you're presenting for this assessment do you dislike the most? And why? Because it's not about, like, you're not trying to be a finished artist here. You're applying to get into a school. You're applying to show a portfolio so we can decide who we can give some money to support them through the process of getting through there. We're not looking for the most finished, polished work. We're looking for work that really tells us things about you. I believe that if I can teach anyone to draw photographically realistic, that's just a skill, like riding a bike. It's what you do with it that's going to matter. And so in these assessments, we look at the work and we try to have a conversation with you about what are you trying to do? Where are you trying to go? And why does this work matter to you? And if you were to step into my first year classes, those are the same questions that I'm going to ask when you step into class. I will help you learn how to produce what you want to produce, but it's not actually about me. It's not about me at all. It's only about you. And I think that anyone who has the nerve to try to be an artist or to try to be a designer or to try to be an animator is incredible. Like, I think you're incredible. So I really want to sit on this panel because I want to break down any of the intimidation factors. You know, I have a PhD. If I want to tell you about my accreditation, I painted the first painted PhD in Canada. I changed the course of history in education in Canada. And it doesn't matter because I'm only interested in what you're going to show me about what you want to make. And I walk away from these assessments all the time just feeling really excited about who I've met and how great the work is. So if you can try to, when we set these up, if you can try to come and, like, it's about your performance, but I don't want you to perform. I want you to just show up, tell us the truth about who you are and what you're trying to do with your with your work, and let us look at the work together, so that we can really kind of get to the core of it, and then support those that we think deserve the support based on what they're presenting. I know that I have assessed portfolios for students coming into OCAD where I've looked at their work and their work wasn't that good. But the conversation about their work really let me understand that they knew what wasn't yet good. And they knew what was good in their work. And they knew what parts really told us about what they were doing. And those are the people that I want to help move forward in making work. It's totally cool that you want to do this. Like, it really is. There's a whole life ahead of you. And we just want to figure out how to challenge you, support you, and then look at those portfolios so that we can figure out which one is most needed to have it right now. I'll stop talking and let's see how Fynn backs that up.
Yeah, I think everything you said, Spencer, is right on. I feel actually like I learn a lot about looking at portfolios even from you. So part of why I do this is to meet you guys and to find ways to support the next generation of artists. It's really exciting. It's really exciting work. I'm so honored to be here and be a part of it. And it's true what Spencer's saying. What we're looking for is for your voice, really. That's the only thing that we can't make up. It's the only thing that nobody can teach you. We can help facilitate it through resources and study and experience, but nobody's going to make your unique voice. So there's that. The other thing, of course, is that's like weird right now is that everything is different from the way that we normally do this, right? Usually we do this in a room with lots of light and you bring your actual physical art there and we get to look at it and stand with it with you and walk around the table and look at the front of it and the back of it and all of those kinds of things. So what I think is useful to think about from a technical perspective is you should know, number one, that we, Spencer and I, are aware of the differences that exist there. We've looked at things online and we've looked at the same things in person. So we have a bit of sort of visual experience, I guess. I don't know exactly what to say, but we've done that kind of thing before. So it's not going to be totally new to us, and we're going to be able to intuit some of the things that you just aren't going to be able to communicate. And where we can't intuit it, we're going to understand that there's some loss there, right? So some of the things that are useful for you to do when thinking about how to prepare for that day is, and I want to make sure I'm not speaking out of turn, but I'm down with you bringing extra detail photos of, to support each work. Like, think about what's happening to the light. How is the light bouncing off of your work? Is it making it hard to look at? Is that useful though? Is it important for us to know that it's shiny? Is it important for us to see the back of it? How are we as viewers of it through this weird digital medium going to understand the scale of it? Sometimes it's useful to take a shot of something from farther back, and it's maybe not going to be the best image of that work, but maybe there's something near it, like a person or a hand or a chair, that will let us understand how big that thing is or what that thing is like as an object. Because unless, and also what you might be bringing is digital work, great, that's going to translate very well. But that doesn't mean that physical object-based work can't be also understood by us as the viewer. It's just useful to think through those things that that will be helpful for us to understand all of those other pieces, like texture, color's always a bit tricky, size, and the actual sort of materiality of the thing. So I do encourage you to prepare with a number of shots. You want to think about how those look. You do want to edit. I mean, you don't want us to get distracted by something, not necessarily, but also don't worry, because we'll help as guides. You know, we can help there. It's also potentially useful if it's something smaller and it's an object. You can have it with you. You can pick it up and show it to us. That's fine too. Exactly. Yeah.
So was that a beer bottle, Spencer? Oh,
fancy iPhone.
maybe just a phone.
Yeah. That's a really good point, Fynn, from a admin perspective. So on the application form, it does say 3 to 10 documents, 3 to 10 works, but that doesn't necessarily mean 3 to 10 documents. Mm-hmm. So if you have 5 works, but one work needs 10 different pictures to show its 3-dimensionality or its texture, as Fynn was mentioning, that's totally fine. 3 to 10 does not mean 3 to 10 files. It means 3 to 10 works of art.
I'm also I'm really interested in looking at work that, like when you're deciding what you want to bring for this, if there's something that you were working on very recently that you really liked, but it's not finished, mm-hmm. But it's something that you really feel strongly about right now, then show that work and just be able to talk about how would you finish it? What's going to happen with it? Fynn, in the position that she's in, maybe wants to see more really excellent work. I'm interested in looking. I'm just as interested in looking at work that didn't quite work out for you, but you understood why it didn't work out. So don't feel like you have to show up with 3 to 10 perfect pieces that we're going to think, wow, we should put that in the gallery right now.
Totally.
Show work that just makes sense to you as being valuable to your process.
Yeah, that's really true. I don't think anyone's expecting a portfolio. A portfolio isn't a finished show. A portfolio is not an exhibition, right? So it's going to bring forward, different aspects of your work. And it's true. It's absolutely welcome for you to bring something that's not complete, or as Spencer was pointing out earlier, there is something useful even in talking about something that you see as some sort of a failure in some aspect. That's a cool conversation too. And I think that does give us a really good sense of where you're at and where you're going. And this is about supporting you guys in pursuing this as an area of study and exploration. So it's not, this bursary isn't based on you guys being finished artists, right? This is all process.
Can I get you to both answer? So do you sort of have an idea of what the portfolio is that you're going to show, or is this just making it more open for you to think about what you'll show us? And either one of you can speak.
Okay. I don't know. I think this is more like giving me an idea of what I should include in a portfolio, because I've never really been sure, even through already having submitted some.
Yep.
No one's really explained what should be included in a portfolio. They're just oh, here's work you should put in. So this is more just to get an idea of what people look for, in my opinion.
Same as Cassidy. I wasn't sure of what you guys wanted in a portfolio, or how you wanted present it, like a Google slide or something like that. I'm not sure.
Maybe Dorothea is going to explain how she's hoping that you'll present them. I also like to see process work. So if I was you, I would choose a sketchbook or a sculpture that has started here and moved to here, so that you can, as one piece, you could show 5, 10, 15, just as if you're flipping through the pages of a sketchbook. And know that a sketchbook's not like this book of finished pristine drawings. It's how you talk to yourself about what you're doing. And so sometimes I remember the last time that Fynn and I did this together, there was one student that as they opened their sketchbook, we ended up talking way more about their sketchbook than their finished work, just because there were so many incredible jewels of ideas of where they wanted to go, that really told us more about who they were. So I would suggest choose something that you can show us that's sort of process-based work. Like, where does an idea come from? Here's this finished fantastic piece, but where did that come from in the first place?
I like how you mentioned the sketchbook. I think with this digital medium, specifically Zoom, bringing in a sketchbook and showing that sketchbook kind of like this is not that great. It's doable, but it's certainly not ideal. So one of the things that you need to consider is how you will be presenting it, and that platform is Zoom. So when I did that poll, I had the poll up on your computer, and then I shared my screen, and then I had those images shared as one PDF. So I had to scroll. So that's one way you can do it, or you can do it as individual PowerPoint slides. And then instead of scrolling, you just hit a button and then it's bam, image, bam, image, bam, image. That's one thing to do. But maybe that kind of static image is not great for your work. And this really speaks more towards what mediums you want to show, or what media you want to show. And then also what smaller works or sketchbooks would you like to show to help you, to use as a tool to help you talk about your process. So perhaps, well, when Spencer was talking about the sketchbook, is that something both of you are interested in? And have you thought about specifically how he would show something like that off, like those works in process, how you would show it through Zoom? Again, there's no right answers here. I'm just wondering if you've thought about it.
Well, I work more in like digitally, so I guess my sketchbook is in my iPad.
Yep.
So that's basically like pictures that I'll show you guys. I don't know if that's okay.
So what, Dorothea, can I interrupt here? Because I'm the Luddite here, and that might be a good thing.
Yeah.
So
I'm also realizing we haven't formally introduced you, Sue, to your guests. Right. And I'm sorry about that. That's my fault.
No, don't worry about it. I'm the executive director of the Arts Council, but I'm also the person who started the Bierk Art Bursary Fund. And I'll tell you about that, a little bit about that at the end, but I'm just, but this is maybe the interesting thing for Fernanda. I'm a media arts curator. So I was the media arts curator at the National Gallery. So all the time we've been sitting here, I've been trying to think about whether you're going to show little clips from your animations, or how that will work. But Dorothy is much better than I am, and she can work with you between now and the portfolio review on exactly what we can do technically, so that you can show your work in its best possible light.
Thank you.
One of the things, one of the early manifestations of this workshop was spending time to play around with Zoom. So essentially what I can do right now, if you'd like to use this time now, or we can book something later, I can give you some permissions. You can play around with your screen, so there's no, there's less awkward pauses. And we can figure that out as a group together. And then I feel, and Fynn and Spencer, please correct me if I'm not wrong, but if you're trying to share your screen and something's not working, I think they would be okay with that. Just take a deep breath, let them know that there's something funky going on in your end, and we'll figure it out as a group. But one of the things that I'd like for these workshops, either now or again, we can book something later, is to figure this platform out and what we can do in this platform, in these limitations, these parameters, to best exhibit your work and to show off your artistic merit.
And
one of which is screen sharing, which we can do right now if you'd like, or we can continue on just chatting.
please know that we're not assessing your ability to use Zoom.
That's really important.
Yeah.
Not interested.
I went to a birthday party last Friday and was really excited to see an old friend who I hadn't seen in 20 years, read the invite properly about an hour before going, found out that everyone was expected to do a 10-minute presentation.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Spencer, I know. Okay. Panicked, pulled together a presentation. I showed Freaky Cat, Dorothea. I pulled images from the AGP's collection of pets. I lined them up with my own pets, and that was it. Showed up to the presentation and realized that I had not done the PowerPoint well at all, and the guest list was illustrious. So embarrassed. And it was fine. So like, don't worry, technical difficulties all around. We've been through this for a year and we're all still figuring it out. It feels like every other month there are new upgrades and new ways to do things, and it's too hard to stay on top of it. So yeah, please don't let that worry you. We are here to talk things through. We can troubleshoot with you on the fly. We are also patient, accepting people that we won't get stressed out about it. Don't worry, we will be collectively, we will all be fine and we will get there.
I will mention too, I know the emphasis here is Zoom, but if there is another platform that works better for you, you just let us know and we'll make it happen. I purposely didn't book the meetings yet. There's no specific day, just in case something like that came up and we had to troubleshoot for a week. Well, hopefully not a week, but there is time built into this process to help you figure out how to best showcase your work, Zoom or otherwise.
So Dorothea, are you going to walk us through using Zoom for a few minutes, and then maybe we'll take a look at those slides as well?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think before I do that, we could just pause here if you two have any specific questions or general comments or worries that you'd like to voice now. You're more than welcome to do so. No, I think what would be great right now is if you two would like to try sharing your screen. I know this sounds really simple, but Zoom allows you to do various views, either just a specific document or your entire desktop. So I think it's a good process to do that, to go through it. And I'm going to change the setting on my end for more than one person to share simultaneously. So we're not waiting for either of you. You can both do this at the same time.
We just share our desktop or like something else?
Whatever you want, right? Like it's one of the things that you can do to help prepare is to organize said desktop and organize your files in a specific order. Yeah. So this is Spencer. Was this yours?
Yep, here's my desktop.
Beautiful.
It's just a bunch of, let's do it. Let me show you a dog.
There's the pets again. Love it. Excellent. There is another mode on this. If you don't choose the desktop, you choose the specific file or program that's open. So if you close that, we can't see what's going on. The other thing I found helpful is knowing exactly where the Zoom window is on your, I have my little side panel on the, oh yeah, there we go. Is that Fynn? Is that Fynn? Yeah. Yeah. So one thing that happened to me once was I minimized the Zoom screen, and then I did my sharing, and then I couldn't find where the Zoom went. It just disappeared as far as I was concerned. So I had to find it. I'm on a Mac, and the top bar has a little Zoom icon, so you can click that and it'll open it back up. But I panicked there for a second. Yeah. And a lot of this is here.
I have done that too. I'm on a PC. It's at the bottom.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
So you want to share your screen just so that we've seen that you know how to do this?
Awesome.
Why?
Love it.
That's great. Yeah. So this is actually a really dynamic way of showing your work. I'm getting kind of sketchbook vibes from it. So you're seeing smaller works all at the same time, as opposed to one work and only one work at one time. So you can think about that. So I mentioned PowerPoint is another way of doing it. There are other PowerPoint-like software, like Prezi is another one, which kind of zooms in and zooms out, but that'll be another screen share. The only other thing I'll mention right now is if you are sharing your computer, all of the notifications that are associated with your computer can potentially be heard during your presentation. So I have a rather robust Discord group, and I have at this time of evening, and I have to shut it off, or all you're going to be hearing is like spastic discourse notifications. So also something to be considering if you're sharing your screen. People can hear all of the programs you have open on your computer. Now the opposite is also true. I also tried sharing a very recording of sound, which was basically static, but because my mic, or the mic I was using, blocked ambient sounds, no one heard anything, and it was just 1 minute of silence, and I thought everyone heard it, but they didn't. So if you're a media artist, something to consider. Yeah. What's your medium of choice?
Me?
I know. Yeah, go ahead. You mentioned animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I basically am really super traditional.
And Cassidy, how about you?
Yeah, I'm super traditional. Like I acrylic paint, like graphite sketches. I was experimenting with charcoal a little bit ago, and with watercolor paints a little bit ago. Watercolor did not work very well for me, but I'm very, very traditional. I'm not a big fan of doing online like media art.
Yeah, fair enough. That just means that you're going to have to think that one step. I don't want to say further, but you're just going to have to think a little bit about it more in the presentation aspect of the portfolio. All right, so I can share some of the slides that I've prepared that kind of summarize what to expect and how to prepare. Alternatively, I think I have both of your emails, but I will double check. So I am on the other side of the Bierk Art Gmail that is on the application form. So if you have any questions and you're emailing that account, that's me. So you're more than welcome to email me any questions, and then I can send you those slides if you'd like, or we can view them now together collectively. It's whatever you'd like.
I'd actually love to see the slides.
Okay. Let's see if I can find them.
I'm behind here. Today they were cutting down a tree beside my house, and they kept dropping the branches on the roof.
Oh,
And I just paid
Sounds like
$4,000
a
for
bad
an improved-
arborist.
Yeah, it wasn't a good idea. It was not a good thing. They said it's just the branches being dragged across the roof. None of them fell on the roof.
Hmm.
Dragon's not good either.
Dragging is not good.
Okay. So this time I'm sharing as a PowerPoint. So it's going to look a little bit different than the scrolling PDF situation that I had last time. All right, can everyone see it?
Yep.
Excellent. All right, so this goes through the basics of what a portfolio review is. As well as the art portfolio itself. So it's a compilation of artworks created by you that showcases your artistic ability. And this is recapping a lot of what Spencer said at the beginning. So it's really giving you the opportunity to talk about yourself as an artist, who you are as an artist, gives you the opportunity, the jurors, the opportunity to learn about your strengths, interests, experiences, motivation for pursuing an arts education, which is important for this specific bursary. And then here are some more practical tips for the portfolio review, some of which is a recap of what was explained on the application, the longer application form. So I mentioned documentation of 3 to 10 examples, specifically documentation because you can't physically bring your work in. And once again, 3 to 10 examples of artworks does not necessarily mean 3 to 10 files. You can have multiple files showcasing one artwork, really showcasing that process. So pick works that highlight technical abilities in various media, reflect your artistic curiosities, and specifically your creative process too. Artworks that illustrate what is important to you and to allow you to speak about your inspirations and ambitions are great choices. So this really goes back to what both Fynn and Spencer were saying. One way I like to think about portfolio is it allows me, as a tool, it allows me to talk about greater ambitions, what I want as an artist, things like that. So it's a way of talking about these things here. So your interests, experiences in visual arts. And these questions here are also available on the application form. So you'll have them on these slides, and then you can also revisit the application forms for some of these tips. So once again, please let us know if there's any special accommodation to help you showcase your work and shine as an artist. Make sure your portfolio is organized in a way that is virtually accessible. That is different from if you're just bringing your art and setting it up into a room. Virtual accessibility is something different to consider. One very simple thing to think about is how you're organizing your files on your desktop so it's easily accessed. Another way of doing that is to put all those files in PowerPoint, and then you can do what I'm doing right now, just clicking a button. Be very mindful that we're going to be on Zoom unless you would like us to be on something else, in which case just email me. So I highly recommend, if you have access to it, and let me know if you don't, because we can set something up, but spend some time with Zoom. Familiarize yourself with the navigation bar, screen share function, and then also play with the input and audio input and output functions on your computer. My computer typically will reduce the output, so it's hard to hear me, but as soon as I increase it on my computer settings, it's not a problem. But something that I have to do manually. And then at the end of the slide, again, I am the face and the person behind the Bierk Art Fund Bursary's Gmail. So if you have any comments, questions, concerns, you just send an email to that link, and it'll be me.
You guys could, because Zoom, I don't know if you've used it before, but you can just go to Zoom and get a free account. And with that, you can set up meetings and have like practice sessions with your friends or whoever you can sign up to share with, and for free you can have however long meetings you want with one person, or 40-minute long meetings with multiple people, and that would give you lots of chance to test, even in your own house. You could get your parents to look at it, or you could get roommates or whoever. And it's not a bad idea to, if you're feeling at all unfamiliar with any of the buttons, that's a good way maybe to practice.
Mm-hmm. Right, in terms of the format of the actual review, so once I get all of the applications, I will reach out to you individually and we'll set up a meeting, and it'll be between Spencer, Fynn, and I. And again, I'm admin tech support. I'm not really, I won't be there to critique your portfolio, but I am there to help in any way that you need help. So the way I'm setting it up is, again, it's going to be an informal conversation. It'll be scheduled for 30-minute blocks. And then if there's something that needs to extend that time, that there's an option there. But for the most part, prepare to speak and to chat about your work in a 30-minute block. Any questions?
Dorothea, if you're about to wrap up, I'd just love to say a couple of words about the Arts Council and about the Bierk Art Fund itself.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a good
Take
moment?
it away.
Are you done the formal stuff?
I think so, unless there's some last minute comments or questions. I think it's a good time for you to take the floor.
Okay. I just wanted to let the students know that EC3 stands for Electric City Culture Council, and we're the Municipal Arts Council in Peterborough. So just like you have the Canada Council that funds things at the federal level, and the Ontario Arts Council that provides programs at the provincial level, we provide them at the municipal level for the city and for the surrounding region, which includes Peterborough County, as well as Curve Lake and Hiawatha First Nations. So the city gives us money, nowhere near enough, right, Fynn? To organize a whole lot of programs, arts awards, professional development workshops, Arts Week, the big festival, and also the Bierk Art Bursary Fund. And we've been around really active for about 6 years now. And for the last 2 years previous to this, we've been able to provide the Bierk Art Bursaries. So there were 2 people who were Peterborough residents who sadly passed away way too young. They both had cancer and died, David and Liz Burke. David was a pretty well-known visual artist and painter. He has work in the AGP's collection. And his wife, Liz, was an arts administrator and an arts activist. And when she died, the family wanted to provide something for people. A lot of people wanted to make donations and contributions, and they really didn't want it to be to a disease. So we decided to set up a fund. And then a couple of years later, a community foundation was established in Peterborough. So all that money went over to an endowment to the Community Foundation of Greater Peterborough. So that money sits there, and some smart ass guy in Toronto invests it so that there's enough money every year to provide 2 scholarships. And all of David and Liz's children are artists, all of them. They're all boys and they're all artists. And one of them, Alex Burke, lives in town. The others live in Toronto. And I work with Alex and with Charlie on what the parameters of the fund are. And usually one or both of them comes to the Mayor's Luncheon for the Arts, where we give the prize. And I feel sad that you won't get to have that exact kind of experience with hors d'oeuvres and decorations and fantastic music, but we wanted to get the money out to people in time for them to put it towards their tuition. And we will have some kind of an event, even if it's a virtual event, so we can honor and recognize you publicly if you're a winner of the bursary fund. And that's it. We wish you the very best of luck. And I know that Spencer and Fynn are very dedicated to creating this as a positive learning experience for you. We worked with a number of teachers that are part of the high schools in Peterborough and of Lakeville College School on the development of the program. And I know they all think it's a good experience for you. And I've attended all of them so far, and we've never had an unsatisfied participant yet. So good luck with the portfolio review. And if I don't see you again, good luck with your future career in the arts.
And if I put in my closing words, I hope that when you walk away from tonight, you think, oh, this is going to be a lot less stressful than I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
I do all kinds of things with my students when I teach to just try to eliminate that part. I've been painting and exhibiting now. My first exhibition was at Art Space, and David Bierk was the first person to show my work.
Oh my goodness.
So I have a long history connected to that. I shared a studio with David for a while. I have a long history. I assessed Charlie's portfolio to admit him to OCAD. Like, I have a long history with the family. But I'm also really aware that when my students come into a classroom, they know way more than I do about what it's like to be them at this time in history. And they're going to teach me a ton every time. I don't ever think of myself as the expert at the front of the room. I just think of myself as one of the lucky people who's been doing it for a longer time. I'll share some information and I will learn from the conversations with you. And that's what I hope that this will feel like when you're finished it. That you got to have a conversation with an artist who, I worked very hard in my studio at 7:15 this morning. And made some shit. It was, disaster. And by the end of the time I was leaving the studio, I was able to pull off something that I didn't know that I was going to do. Like, we're all just making work and trying to tell our stories and trying to change the world by showing the world what the world doesn't see without our work. None of us are more important. None of us.
I have to dash. So I want to say thanks to Spencer and Fynn, and especially to Dorothea, who's done so much work on this and has done a fantastic job. But you guys carry on if you want to, and I'll look forward to seeing the results. Thanks, everybody. Take good care, all right?
Yep.
Be safe.
Thanks, Sue.
Adios.
Fynn, did you want to just say any words, or should this conclude?
I mean, how can I top that? No.
I remember showing a portfolio of work to Fynn.
Yeah.
As to whether or not I would have an exhibition that was really important to me. And I went about doing that in the same way that I did it from the other side, where it's just, I expected to have a really good conversation with someone who's professional at looking at things and thinking about things. And Fynn asked me questions that I never imagined.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
And that's what it's supposed to be. Like, we're supposed to just have a conversation where when we walk away from every moment of these interactions, we think, that felt like time in my life that was worthwhile, because we're all creative people.
Yeah. Yeah, I am really looking forward to doing this. And I mean, please know we're kind of stumbling through doing online viewings as well. So yeah, really just know that we're here and rooting for you and curious. We're really interested in what you're interested in and what you want to do.
Yep.
And that show did show, and it became important for the Art Gallery of Peterborough.
That's lovely. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording right now.